I have a very small group, so we don't have many live, so to speak, Zoom presentations. But I've been creating presentations from various tech sources for years. And they come into my inbox and I read the various how to geek, make use of, you name it. I get a ton and a half of them. And if something strikes me, I would like to let my members know about, I just put a mini presentation together. And you can get ideas from many, many things. I've just started using a few of the AARP things that come in their paper newsletter type thing. And one of my members brought my attention to consumer reports about frauds and scams that I'm going to take a look at. Tech boomers, my members years ago said, we would like a presentation on Groupon. I had absolutely no idea what it did, but we as APCUG people can use anything on the Tech Boomers site, illustrations and all, to put a presentation together. And then somebody else wanted to know about Pinterest, and I did exactly the same thing. So this was our January meeting. We had a presentation that I found in Lifehacker of the biggest scams of 2022. Somebody had mentioned at the December meeting that they bought their pet's medicine at Costco. And I thought, really? Never knew that. So other than Costco in our area, I checked to see where else we could buy our pet meds at probably a less expensive price than, the vet's office. And so I put it together from local sources. At the time, winter, it was cold. Our Southern California gas rates had gone sky high. One of my gas bills was almost $400. And as you pick yourself up off the floor, because you've never seen that before, I thought, I think I'm going to put a presentation together on how to, are there assistance programs? There are for low-income people that want internet access. There's internet affordable connectivity programs. And then one of the members of our Senior Center Advisory Council is a doc, and he reminds us if seniors or anybody is homebound and they needed a COVID booster, feel free to call, in our case, LA County Health, and somebody will come to your home and give you that booster that you may need. In February, make use of, I thought, artificial intelligence, what is ChatGPT? We are all talking about it, want to know it. So that was a super simple article about just what it is, what it does. And I thought, going to put that together and give it at my meeting. And I found a couple of cool videos to show. Again, as the first one says, it's for beginners. It just tells you how it works. We didn't want to get into any of the tech part of it or the controversial part of it. And a lot of us use Edge in my group. So I showed them a 7-minute video for that. I'm from the beach. If we had stayed at the beach, my son would have been a surfer, not a motorcycle rider. And Spectrum News had this way cool, very short video on how a surfing coach was videotaping the surfers, and then he was putting it together and using AI so they will be injured less. And then we looked at 7 things we didn't realize our phones could do, whether they were iPhones or Android. Sorry, I had to let somebody in. We could we learned how to scan documents, start our cars, help us change channels, use our iPhones if we had one as a TV remote, measure stuff, take photos for us, monitor our heart rates, and hold our medical insurance cards. And with each one of them, I asked the question, how many people are using their phone to scan their documents? Well, a couple of people were, and the other one said, thank you. Didn't know you could do that. Nobody was starting their car with their phone. Nobody was using the change channels. A husband and wife, we've been using that take photos for you feature for years. Everybody should be doing it. 2 people were monitoring their heart rate, and nobody had a photo of their insurance card in their phone. So doing something like this got the discussion rolling as to, because mostly when we ask questions, nobody says anything. In March, I asked Bill James to please take my how and why do I need to back up presentation and ask ChatGPT on how he or she, as the case may be, would do it. And I asked 17 questions. I answered 17 questions in my presentation. And this is what came back. Answers to every single one of them. And the very first bullet point, the answer was, I'm sorry, I don't have the up-to-date information for that. We also talked about check washing. It is alive and well. Several years ago, I went to a Los Angeles Police Department presentation, and they said they, broke into a motel room down in the San Fernando Valley, and all those checks were dripping right over the bathtub. There were lines from wall to wall to wall, and it's back again. People still write checks, and the crooks are still washing them. And if you use a gel pen in black for your check writing, that can't be washed. And then we also did some tips and tricks. In April, it was 7 things you didn't realize your phone could do, 9 hidden features on your Samsung. Again, we have iPhone people and Samsung people. And then 7 top scams to watch out for in 2023. There were actually 13 in the article, but I only chose 7. And then 2 of my members said they'd like to do a demo. And I said, oh my gosh, this is absolutely fantastic. And so John Metcalf has used System Mechanics program for years and years and years. He swears by it. Richard Maynard says, I use the free version of CCleaner. So we had a, CCleaner versus System Mechanic. We all decreed that we liked CCleaner much better because System Mechanic, there were too many places to have to go and click and then re-click and go back and click again. But again, John thinks it's absolutely fantastic. And Richard had never used all of the, many of the other features other than just cleaning up. So I just walked him through everything and it worked out really well. So our next meeting, we did 10 groundbreaking firsts in mobile phone history. And I told them in my PR that I sent out to them, this was going to be a heavy learning meeting because it was all about routers and mistakes to avoid. Look at these 10 useful things they can do, 13 things that you should really check after plugging in your new router. And Google Chrome, it had just hit my desk, so to speak, my eyeballs on my inbox. And Google's Chrome HTTP lock icon is going away in September. And I thought they needed to know about that. So here are the 10 groundbreaking rules, first in mobile phone history. And I asked the question with each one of these, did you have a phone like that? And we talked about each one, and we had never heard of some of these phones ever. And most of us have been members of the club for 1,000 years. And I didn't know that IBM had a touchscreen phone. So that was interesting, with no dial pad, but a large LCD touchscreen. Who knew? And finally, somebody had one of those Ericssons. And I thought, yay, finally somebody does. And then another person had the Nokia. So it was interesting to go down memory lane, but, we also had a chance to learn about what was in the past. And then another person had that first Android phone. So I'm coming up in June. I'm working on Keep Your Old Computer Running. It's an AARP out of their newsprint one. And I saw this a couple of days ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, what do hackers do with our information, for heaven's sakes? And I was intrigued with that. And what I tell my members, if they come up with topics, let me know. If they don't come up with any topics, they get to hear and see, and we get to talk about what I have found interesting in all of the How to Geeks and Make Use of CNET, etc. articles that come into my inbox. And I use Edge's collections. I used to use Evernote, but ever since collections came out, this is where I keep everything. So this was for one of my monthly meetings, and I looking at a website and I think, like that. And I just click on the collection and the plus sign, and all that information goes right into my list. When I get ready to put my presentation together, I go to what I have accumulated through probably the first week of the new month. And then I start looking, do I really want to put this in a presentation or not? And picking and choosing, the information out of the article. I don't use graphics that are in the article. If graphics are required and it's something I use, I do it myself, or I will look for no copyright free graphics, so we don't have any problems. And every single one of my members that attends meetings has a cat. And one sits behind the guy's neck in his high back chair. Another one, you'll see it walking along the desk. One will walk in front of a monitor. I have yet to have room to put the how to cat proof your laptop or computer, protect your desk area from kitties. And it's going to be a fun thing to put together, and I'm hoping I'll have room for this month. And I always have found many more articles than I ever can use. But this is how you learn about what's new, is you subscribe to How to Geek or Make Use of or CNET or whoever, and you're getting the latest in the tech world in your inbox. So from AARP, I said, beware when the end is near. You might hear your physical hard drive beeping. That has happened to me twice. I've lost 2 hard drives. Your fan makes miserable noises. I had that happen to me. I had to have it replaced. Booting takes up forever, either your physical hard drive or your SSD. It's very difficult to really know when an SSD is getting ready to walk out the door. If you have an SSD, it is taking you forever and a day to save those documents, and it's driving you crazy. You're getting a lot of error message, frequent crashes, and just down and out. It just runs slow. So slower computer, frequently crashes, pop-ups. Maybe you need to do a deep antivirus scan. Mine scans every day, but it's not down deep. I should run Malwarebytes. I have it. That's one of the 2 programs I pay for. I pay for CCleaner and Malwarebytes. And Bob G says, please have Malwarebytes as an accessory to your whatever security program you use. Declutter. I have a spring clean your computer presentation. Declutter. Get rid of all the apps that you don't need. Use the Windows C properties, the old disk cleanup that we have been using since the beginning of time, or get into the modern world. And with 10 and 11, use Storage Sense. Set it up to automatically delete your temp files and things like that. Use CCleaner or John's Iolo System Mechanic. Ira Wilsker, many of you are going to recognize that name from back in the day. He swore by Glary Utilities. Have a cleanup program. If nothing else, like I said, the old properties disk cleanup will get rid of stuff for you. If you've got an older computer, it's just plain all clogged up. And if you want to, you're enamored with that old computer, swap out your physical drive for an SSD so it boots faster, saves faster, etc. You might want to add some memory. I recommend a minimum of 16 gigabytes. Wish I had gotten more with that. I said, what comes after 16 gig? And he said 32. And he looked at me with a horrified expression on his face at Best Buy and said, "You're not a gamer, are you?" And I guess little old ladies with white hair can't be gamers. I don't know. Windows 10 and 11, reset this PC allows you to choose whether to keep your personal files or not. I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep them, but you will lose all of the programs that you have downloaded yourself. And my question is, if it's really, really old and it's really, really slow, why don't you just go out and buy a new computer? And here's what the hackers do. And it was interesting and gratifying to know that organizations are the top targets for hackers. I went, hey. What they're doing is out there and they can get much more data from a company, large or small, than, going from computer to computer to computer. So many people think, I've been hacked. Oh my gosh, they got into my computer. They got my email information. 9 times out of 10, no, it was through a data breach at a company. And T-Mobile, they've been hacked twice this year, and it's their 9th data breach since 2018. If I had T-Mobile, I would give that a second look and say, really, maybe it's time for me to move on. I didn't even know there was a Yum Brands. I think that's cute. And they had their hit in January, but look at that. They didn't announce it until April. And I don't think there's any requirement, any place for everybody, to learn that a certain company has been breached. But that was for corporate and employees. So those of us people who shop there with their credit cards and things like this, they had no problem. I love it. ChatGPT, they got breached in March 2023. And some users saw other active users, last name, first name, and all that information, but they only got the last 4 digits of your credit card number and the expiration date. Chick-fil-A, they got breached in March of 2023. And that hacker used email address and passwords from a third party who probably already stolen them in the first place. And they got membership numbers, names, emails, addresses, and more. And we wonder why all of a sudden we're getting new types of spam and phishing emails. Very possibly we ate at Chick-fil-A and our information was stolen. Activision, SMS phishing attack on an HR employee to gain access to employee data, emails, cell phone numbers, salaries, and work locations. Global fee, February 2023. And that was because of the T-Mobile data breach. And Google doesn't have its own network infrastructure, and it uses T-Mobile's network. Maybe they should think about using somebody else's network. MailChimp. And I want you guys to know, I did not hear from MailChimp that they had had a problem. Although on this page where I got this information, it said they let everybody know what had happened. And no, APCUG did not get an email. But they got employee information and credentials, company, and they identified them and suspended those accounts. But oh gosh, look, they were breached in April and August of last year too. I think the April and August probably was before they were bought by Intel, but January 2023, they were owned by Intel. And the weirdest thing of all, the company that wants you to give them money to watch over you about ID theft and things like that got breached in this year. And it was a stuffing attack. And I thought, really? What's a stuffing attack? So then I had to go out and I had to look at define stuffing attack. And previously compromised passwords are used to hack into accounts that use a shared password. Norton says, we recommend you change your passwords and you use 2FA. So those are two presentations that I'll be giving at our June meeting, and then I'll add some others. I always say my youngest brother was a Los Angeles Sheriff's Department homicide detective his almost entire career. He retired as the head of the crime lab in downtown LA. And I always say, you know, I'm out and about, and it's like with the stuffing attack, I put my detective hat on and go out and look for information elsewhere to enhance my presentations. I don't copy and paste. I will copy and paste, and then I will put it into my own words. And I just thought you guys might like to look at my view during Wednesday workshops, and this is today's Saturday safari. I have the participants list so I can let people in. I have the chat, and then there's the Q&A on the right-hand side. And I hope if you use Word, you know, if once you give it a name, it backs up every 10 minutes. And I'm hoping that you configure it so it backs up every 5 minutes. And once you give it, thank you, Alice, appreciate that. And once you save it, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about doing Control S or clicking on, you know, the little diskette and everything. It automatically saves in your background. I have been doing that since the beginning of time because I taught tech classes for over 20 years. And I thought my curriculum better not disappear if my, you know, hard drive freezes and everything, you know, turns itself off. So please think about changing it from 10 minutes to 5 minutes or every 2 minutes, depending upon what you're doing. And that is my presentation on how to get an easy presentation to put together. And I hope that some of you will start doing this for your groups. Do we have any questions for anybody?
Use your reactions and do like Jerry Crow did and raise your hand so you come to the front of the list.
Jerry Crow, you are first in line. Wow. He's from Arizona. Unmute yourself, please.
Oh, okay. I tried to once and it said I couldn't do it.
I hadn't clicked the magic button yet.
I
Takes
see.
a second.
I was going to mention, I must be older than all of you because anybody remember the Perfect Suite, Perfect Calc, Perfect Writer on MS-DOS? Those were excellent programs. I used those for years before I went to Windows. So anyway, just I'm trying to find an old copy so I can recover some of the spreadsheets I made with those programs. I still have the save files, but I don't have the software. So anyway, and I've never talked. I'm glad we heard about mesh routers. I'd heard about them, so I went out and looked a little bit. Well, I set up a bunch of, while we're having meetings like this, I click back to my browser and I go out to the site, like make use of. I went out to that site and as soon as this is over, I'm going to go out and look at all the ones I put on there. I hope that made sense. Anyway, okay, that's it really. I just wanted to mention the Perfect Suite. So, and I have one last thing. See, I don't care about Wi-Fi because I don't consider it secure and I don't use it. I'm lucky. When I bought this condo 20 years ago, it was completely wired with Cat5. So nice. I'm totally wired from the entrance to my internet connection router, my digital subscriber router. So I have no Wi-Fi. I only turn Wi-Fi on when my partner comes over here and stays for a while on her phone. She wants to use it, so I turn it on. I've got the radios turned clear off on my routers. So anyway, enough. I'm done. Thanks, Judy.
Okay. Gee, I lived in a house that had the electrical heating in the ceiling one time.
So did I.
Probably the same era, Jerry. What can I tell you? I have a answer. Could the person who was talking about the one laptop per child be asking about a metro mesh network? I have no clue, but there it goes.
Yeah, I still don't understand that. I'll pick that up.
But you're going to research it, right?
I am.
Thank you. I knew you would. Okay, I have Office 2021 seems to only allow auto saving to OneDrive. So he stopped using it. Do you know anything about that, Mr. James, that you are a OneDrive person?
Can you repeat the question again?
Okay. Office 2021 seems to only allow auto saving to OneDrive. So I stopped using it.
That is true. Actually, the Microsoft products has what they call autosave, and the autosave will save to OneDrive, but you can go into your settings and in Word or the Office product and change where the default save is. So if you want to save it to your hard drive, then you need to just change that. It's under options. And then I think it says something like default save, and then there's a drop-down box which gives you some choices. So you just need to deselect OneDrive and let it save to your local drive.
Thank you. Cal, I'm using a 27-inch monitor.
High resolution, I hope.
Yeah. I wear computer glasses and my eyes are 1,000 years old.
You'd be surprised how many people stick to a laptop and they're doing 6-point editing.
I always had a 17-inch laptop. My favorite was Toshiba.
Yeah.
And they were always weighed a ton. Worked fine though. Any other questions about anything? Oh, OLPC had 2 aerials on the screen that looked like little ears. Interesting. That's interesting because do we know about OLPC in the United States, or was that strictly a England and Australia initiative? Cal, do you know?
I think I know what that is. OLPC.
Yeah, that's the one laptop per child. I've heard of that, but was that restricted to England and Australia?
I think a lot of that was developed for the African subcontinent as well,
Mm-hmm.
or rural areas. And some of them with the mesh, I think they were connecting via satellite.
Okay, thank you. Diane Binder from Florida.
Hi. I heard you mention you're not using Evernote and you said collections.
Yes.
Is that an app or is that an iPhone app or what is that?
Collections is part of Edge and it's all I need. Back in the day when I used Evernote, I was doing something different and it was a better app. And besides, Chewy Poplock thinks it walks on water. And that's why I started using it 1,000 years ago. But I don't need what it does. I need collections. And it's up close and personal. I click on the plus sign and boom, it's right.
Yeah, I like that. I do what you do to get ready for my meetings, but I use OneNote.
Yeah, you use OneNote. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Whatever works, correct?
Right. Exactly.
Makes our lives easier. Any other questions? Okay, I am here to say, like John said, we're doing this today because I couldn't find anybody else to do anything. And we had over 200 people register. We had a top of, I believe, 124. I always wonder why people bother to register and then don't show up, because they do not get the follow-up material whenever it is sent out. I started the Wednesday workshops in May 2020. Bill James said, I'm on board, let's do this. And he did Windows once a month for 4 months. And then he did home automation. I hounded to death John Kennedy. My gosh, email after email after email. Would you do a Linux one? People said once a month is not enough. I put them together because theoretically we were sitting at home, not supposed to be going out. And I thought APCUG should offer its members more technology stuff that they could access while they were sitting at home on a Wednesday. John joined us. We went to 3 a month. I do Tuesdays and Thursdays. He does the third Wednesday, and he's running out of Linux ideas. He asks for people for help. I sent out in his name an email with 174 regular Linux attendees and saying presentation ideas. And like he says, he's got people on his meetings that know a heck of a lot more than him that could take it up to a different level. I heard back from 3 people. The email said, please reply to John. And one was a gazillion Windows questions. Poor Bill. Hi, Bill. Here's a whole bunch of Linux questions, Windows questions for you. He answered those. One had absolutely nothing to do with anything. And one guy said, I just recently joined this. I am starting with your Linux channel, and I am going one by one to bring myself up to date. I don't know if you've answered these questions. Here they are. Those went to John. John heard from one person. 170 people did not bother to answer. Come on, you guys. And thank you, Alice. I love watching you. And but we would like, other people to give presentations. The people that I asked to give presentations have already given it to their group. So they don't have to create anything. For me, creating a presentation is no big deal. I've been doing it for a day. We've been doing presentations with Zoom since 2012. But if you've created a presentation, you've already given it. And especially if you're hybrid or even it's just in person, you can't be afraid of giving a presentation because remember, it's warts and all. If you were here for the BBB presentation last, second Wednesday, her computer went bluey and she was trying to fix that. We said, no big deal. Go with the flow. I'll just cut all that out. So please, APCUG is all about users helping users. And you get a lot of flow down stuff from APCUG, which is mostly, I hate to say it, me and John and Bill and Gabe, but we need help. And I know you guys are having problems in your group. You can't get volunteers either. This is nothing new. But again, if you have given a presentation to your group, if one of your members has given a presentation, ask him if he'd be willing to do it at a Wednesday workshop and let me know. You would make my life so much easier, and you would make John's Linux life so much easier. And I am off my soapbox now. And Cal goes, yeah, sure, Judy, you'll just do it again. Anyway, thank you for attending. I really appreciate it, especially on a Memorial Day weekend. This is way cool. You were here on Saturday. You were intending to go anyplace today. We go to the cemetery on Monday. My oldest daughter, when she married her husband, she said, want to tell you, every Memorial Day, we go down to Inglewood to the cemetery and snip around all the gravestones, plant, clean the water out, dig up the flower things and leave flowers. And my aunt, her great aunt, was a World War II Army nurse. She gets the flag. And we only missed one time during COVID, and they've been married 28 years. And that poor man is still, we're driving down to Memorial Day every year. So have a good Memorial Day, whatever you do. And John, walk us off.
It's been another great month. It's hard to believe that we're now into May. School's out for a lot of people. I get grandsons for the next 3 months, every day, all day. And I consider the Weather Channel's calendar that summer starts on Monday or next week with June. So everybody, we look forward to our summer, June, July, and August. And we'll be back, struggling, but we'll be back. We got 2 more Linux Wednesdays in June and July. We'll be off on August. Hopefully we'll be back after August. We'll see. Thanks, everybody.
I want to say thank you about that summer plug. It's 62 in sunny Southern California, and it's only partly sunny. And I had to turn my heater on my heat turned on this morning. I thought, stop being so cold, because we were hotter than heck. And I turned my AC on. And I thought, remember, you turned your AC on. Perhaps you would want to turn your heater on. Yeah. And I said, good memory, Judy. But anyway, we're here to have fun. If you cannot have fun and smile, it's not worth anything.
If you think of ideas, send them to Judy, and we'll see if we can find somebody that can present.
We're thinking of having an AI panel. If you are someone who has been using artificial intelligence, we don't care, a little bit, that you could talk about it. No presentation, just talk about it, and then maybe answer some questions. And like Bill did, he didn't know the answer. So you would just say, I'm sorry, I haven't gotten into that part of AI yet, but we would like to do that. And so if you are using AI and you are not afraid to speak up, please let me know, and we'll put a panel together for one of our meetings, and we'll see what everybody has to say about whatever. And Bob G has an AI presentation that he is giving. I just updated the Speakers Bureau list. We have new presentations.